Hello, mahalo as we look at OKO Knife Counter number 6. In this one, once again, the attack's coming from 12 o'clock, our green zone. In this particular case, opponent's right leg is going to be forward with an overhead knife slash, or attempted overhead knife slash, on what would be our opponent's line 3. It'll look like this. Maybe he's hiding the weapon, looking around, no problems. All of a sudden, step and slash. We're going to want to get on the inside of our opponent's, in this particular case, his zone of sanctuary, and to stop the attack before it gets to its apex. So it begins here, it almost gets to its apex here, the point in which it's going the fastest, in which I need to stop that momentum before he's able to whip through faster than I can respond. So how is it that we are actually going to respond? Standing natural, I don't know it's coming. My left leg slightly forward, I'm going to step in with my left leg and to meet him halfway before the knife gets to its apex. As I do so, I'm going to dolphin tail. I'm going to flipper to stop the arm, noticing the knife, but also now my right hand's going to palm heel at the radial head of his shoulder, stopping his forward momentum and canceling that second weapon. So once again, as it comes in, dolphin tail strike. We call this a blit, a block and a hit at the same time. Once again, very quickly in succession. As I do so, now what I'm going to do is my right hand is going to snake underneath his and then to grab my own wrist, creating 3 points of contact. Now, from the side, as my hand is on the radial head of his arm, what I can do is I can push with my palm and push with my elbow towards you to make him release the knife. Now, we're not going to assume that this is going to work, as we'll strip the weapon later. I'm going to create that break or that pain. As I do so, then my left foot is going to step the reverse, create room for him as I push and pull. I'm pulling with my armpit, pushing with my hands, push him down on the ground. From this point of view, from the front, step the reverse, got my balance. I'm actually going to borrow some of his as I bring him down. Once again, the knife is under control underneath my armpit, and I'm going to lay it across my leg. As I do so, from that point, I'm going to do what's called a shoulder crank. I'm going to make sure that his right arm stays up off the ground and his left arm and shoulder is on the ground, pinning his left arm, preventing him from responding. That is the shoulder crank. Since I still have his arm, I can rotate with my hips and hands to separate the shoulder from the joint. At this point, I could disarm, but in this particular case, in this technique, I'm going to do a small step drag, create some space. My hand is going to grab his wrist and to bring the blade up and in front of me, turning his hand palm up, strip the weapon, and then respond. In this particular case, Chris would slash across either the trap or across the ulna, slice, throw the arm away, cross, and cover out. Once again from the front. He comes in, left leg slightly forward. I'm going to blit, snake around, and grab. And now I'm going to step the reverse and put him down, shoulder crank. I'm going to rotate and hopefully pop that arm up. Control the weapon in the hand, bring it in front, strip the weapon, slash, throw it away, cross and cover out in a safe direction. 45 degrees away from our opponent. With that, that has been OKO Knife Counter number 6. Stay tuned for the CMP. Aloha mahalo as we look at lessons, concepts, and principles in Knife Counter number 6. And this is a little bit different. We've got an overhead knife coming in. We need to stop it. We need to get, number one, off the line of the attack, into our zone of sanctuary immediately, and then responding with deviate, deflect, control, and disarm. So how are we going to do that all at once? We're going to use a block and a hit at the same time, which we saw in number 5, which is going to continue to number 6. So once again, pre-position number 2, my left leg's forward. As I step in, extended outward block, or we're going to use the dolphin tail flipper and strike the radial head of the shoulder or the noggin. That is going to provide the blit and stop our opponent's momentum coming forward. We don't want him to get the apex of his strike, so we stop him before he continues. It also cancels the second weapon. Now it's interesting in this one, much as we've seen previously in the grab counters and in the knife counters, we're going to use snaking. So snaking is where if I've got my opponent's arm here, and I have now stopped his forward momentum, I've dolphin tail, struck the radial head of the shoulder. I'm going to control his shoulder with my hand. My right arm is going to come underneath, from over to underneath, to then grab. I now have 3 points of contact: my shoulder, my elbow, and my hands. The snaking. I also created 3 points of contact, which continues throughout the sequence of the flow of the technique. I'm going to continuously use the upcock or pizza slice to create room to take down my opponent, and a reintroduction of the shoulder crank. Well, what is the shoulder crank? If I've got my opponent's arm that is here and I'm going to take him down, I'm going to push at his shoulder as he comes down. The shoulder crank is that here's his shoulder, here's his arm. I'm going to prevent his shoulder from going to the ground. In other words, if you're defending against me and you have this arm, and as you're taking me down, you're going to prevent this shoulder from going all the way to the ground and keeping this arm up and out. That creates a shoulder crank, which can separate the shoulder joint. Here's the radial head of the shoulder, here's the socket. As the person lands, it extends or decompresses that arm, causing suction. And in the technique, once again, we have a pass-through. Once I've controlled his arm across my leg, I can then take that small step drag back and pass his arm through, then stripping the weapon. Once again, knife counter number 6, like number 5, has a lot of similar concepts and principles previously, but also adds to that with snaking and the shoulder crank. This has been OKO Knife Counter number 6. Aloha, mahalo, and live pono.